Alright, good day everyone. So let's continue with chapter 2 as promised. Okay, so in chapter 2 we're going to look at risk and return for a single security. Okay, so we have discussed all of this last week. Alright, so what is return? Okay, how to calculate the return. So for sure, if you want to calculate the return, you base on this holding period return, HPR and HPY. Okay. And after that, you can calculate the annualized HQR and HQY. Okay. So this is the example how to do it, right? And how to calculate the HQR and HQY. And then how to calculate the average return for stock A. Okay. Consider that you have 4 periods. Okay. So period 1 is 5.2. Period 2, 4.6, and period 3 is 3.6. Period 4, 8.3. So, in order for you to find the average, you need to total everything and divide it by n by 4. Okay? Right. So, what if in the question given the value of probability? Alright. So, if there is a probability, you need to incorporate the value of probability in your return. So, that is how you get the expected return by 9.3. Okay, so it is going to be like this one. Okay, where the probability times with the return for good condition, and then 0.4 times 9. Okay, and then we're going to do it until habis, right? So now, what is risk? Okay, risk when you want to calculate the level of uncertainty. Alright, so risk is the gap between what you expect to get and then what is your real return. Okay, that is risk. Okay, in order for you to calculate the risk, you need to calculate the variance. So this is the formula for variance. And then you need to calculate the standard deviation and coefficient of variation. Alright, so these three risk measurement is to calculate the for single investment. Okay, so this is the formula. Alright, so example is like this. First step, what you need to do is you need to calculate the average return first. Okay, so you need to calculate the average return. Okay, and then next you need to calculate the variance. So how to find the variance? As I said, variance is the gap between the expected return and or average return and your return, your real return. So the gap, this is your average return, this is your return. So you want to find the gap. So that's why you find it like this. Alright, you find the gap. Okay, so for period 1, for period 2, sampailah habis. Right, so then you will get the value of variance is 3.073. Okay, so after that, what you need to do? You need to calculate the standard deviation. So calculating standard deviation is easy by square root the value of variance. So you dah dapat lah value of this standard deviation. And then as for the coefficient of variation, the formula is standard deviation divided by your average return. Alright, so this is the value of your standard deviation, and then this is the value of your expected return or the average return. Right. Okay. So how about if the question give you the value of probability? Now tadi we don't have the probability value, right? Now we have the probability. How to do it? First, the same step, you need to find the expected return or the average. Alright. So by calculating, incorporate the probability into your return. So you will get 9.03. Right. And then for variance, this is how you do it. Okay, so the same step, you need to find the gap between return and expected return, but you need to imply this one, the probability. Alright, so you will get the value of variance by 7.410, and then standard deviation is 2.722, and then the coefficient of variation is 0.29. Right? Okay, so this is the table comparison table between stock A and stock B. So you are wondering how to compare these two. Actually, it is easy. Okay, by looking at the return first, expected return, we can see stock B give you more return. But if you compare in terms of risk, okay, so standard deviation and variance is the risk measurement. You can see stock B also high in risk compared to stock A. Okay, so between stock A and stock B, okay, which one can you choose based on what criteria? So you can look at from the perspective of coefficient of variation from CV. CV is what? CV is how much risk from the return that you get. Okay, so it means that if you get the value of CV is high, it means that you encounter more risk to get such amount of return. Okay, so it means that when you do the selection, you must choose the lowest CV. Okay, so in this case, it is stock B. The lowest CV, maksudnya for every return that you get, this is the risk that you get involved. Alright, maksudnya risk tu lebih rendah. Alright. So, this part is theory. Okay, so determinants of recovery of return, we have the component of time value, the expected inflation. Okay, so this required rate of return because of the expected return that might happen. Okay, the value of money during that time, and then we have this risk-free rate. Okay, so risk-free rate is the rate that don't have any market interference. Okay, so no inflation and whatsoever. Alright, and then these are the risks involved in when you start to invest. Okay, so you will get involved with the business risk, the financial risk, liquidity, exchange rate, and many more. Okay, so this is the risk of premium and portfolio theory. Okay, so you all know the basic concept between the fundamental risk and systematic risk. So of course, fundamental risk, this is the risk that is effect give you the catastrophic effect. Okay, so it will affect to the entire economy. Alright, so the risk premium, they are the business risk, financial risk, and until country risk. So how about this systematic risk? Of course, it involves with beta. So beta risk, okay, that it will impact directly to your stock. Okay, so it is part of this individual asset stock variance. Alright, so of course the risk premium is the systematic market risk. Okay, so when calculating this beta, so we're going to calculate beta in chapter 3, next chapter. So this systematic risk or beta incorporate the movement or the volatility of the market movement into the equation. Right? So after that, from this beta value, we can come up with the security market line. So SMN. So this is the trade-off between the expected return and also risk. Okay, the relationship between risk and return. So as you can see here, as long as the value increase, okay, value of expected return increase, of course the risk that involved is also increase. Okay. So the slope here between risk and return indicates the required return per unit of risk. Okay. So there is a change you need to calculate the risk premium, okay, by looking at this. This is how you calculate, you try to find the gap between the risk and return. Okay, so when there is a change in attitude of investor towards risk, so the slope will also change. Okay, so the change of this SML curve, whether it's going to be increase or decrease, is depending on the willingness of the investor to take the risk. Okay, of course, everyone wants to get the highest possible return, right? But at the same time, they cannot ignore the amount of risk they need to face. All right. So if the investor want to become risk averse, of course, we can see that SML will become steeper in slope. Okay. So it is indicating that the higher risk premium for the same risk level, right? Okay, so we're going to discuss further on this SML and CML. Okay, and then of course we're going to discuss on this efficient frontier, which is the best stock selection based on this frontier, right? So that's all for chapter 2. Okay, so for theory part, you can study by your own, or if you want to seek for my clarification, for sure you can ask me. All right, so thank you.